opening theme. I thought you meant the mood, tone, you know, the...
That's fair.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
That
the
opening sets the mood.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion on the Rei versus Asuka debate that's all over the internet?
Oh, yeah, that's a hard question. I think they're both really kawaii. I think I switched. I think I really preferred Dei-chan in the beginning when I watched it back in the day. I think these days, Asuka-chan is my favorite. I think the female cast in Evangelion is just amazing. I think overall, it's a good.
What about you, Eric? Are you a Rei or Asuka guy?
I think legally speaking, I'm generally going to continue to go with Misato. In all fairness,
you would. Take the easy way out. I ask you a serious question. We have an Eastern guest. I ask you a serious Eastern question that means a lot to him culturally, and you just drop out of the question altogether.
Okay, you're right. I'm not really being super fair about this.
See, that's what I'm saying. You at least make some sort of a distinction for our guest.
I don't know. I guess the fiery redhead. I'm gonna go with the fiery redhead. It's a thing.
I'm more of an Asuka person myself too. It looks like we might be an Asuka podcast all together today.
All right.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
We can roll with that.
She's a what is the word that is used to describe her, Seth? There's a Japanese word to describe her personality.
Tsundere.
Yes. And what does that mean exactly?
Well, it's a combination or a portmanteau, as it's called. Of two words, and it's tsuntsun, meaning someone who is have a little bit of a rough exterior. Maybe they're a little bit hostile, and dere, which means something like more of a soft side, you could say. So it's a combination of someone who have so tsundere would be someone with a tough exterior, but on the inside they're soft.
Just like you, Eric. Just like you in real life.
Yes.
I didn't know that the Japanese, the Asian community has a word to describe you just flatly.
Oh,
it's kind of impressive. Welcome to AnythingCast, by the way. I'm Patrick.
I'm Eric.
And our guest today is...
I'm 𝑬𝒅𝒂𝒕𝒆𝒔. And can I introduce myself in Japanese as well?
Oh, absolutely. Please. By all means.
Okay.
俺様はセフィロスソード57です。
Hajimemashite. Yoroshiku.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. It's been a dream of mine since we started the podcast to have what I think that people in my area would refer to as an Oriental master.
A scholar and a gentleman for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
Yes, I guess that's pretty fitting. I do know a lot about Japanese culture, and I do consider myself a scholar of Japanese culture, and I'm spiritually identified with Japanese culture as well. So,
spiritually, what do you mean by you spiritually? Like you're inside, like you feel like a Japanese man?
I technically was born in the West, but I belong in Japan. Just spiritually. When I went to Japan, I realized, wow, this is my home. This is my true home, and that is why I'm going to move to Japan in the future as soon as I can.
So when did you go to Japan for the first time and have this experience?
In 2016, I went with my parents, and I only stayed in Tokyo during that time, but it was already the best experience I ever had going. We went to all kinds of places, went to restaurants and had superior Japanese food. We went to Akihabara and a maid cafe, which was very, very fun and very kawaii.
When you say superior Japanese food, what do you mean by that?
Just ramen and stuff like that.
You're saying it's cleaner, it's just better.
It's just better. It's better for you. It tastes better. And the Japanese only uses the best products, so they only use they would never use lower quality of anything.
They eat whale meat like we eat tuna over here.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I would love to try that at some point.
Me too, actually. Were you able to do that, Steph? Were you able to try whale? Was it whale fin, I believe?
No, I think that well, I'm not really sure where they cut it from. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know.
Yeah, we should ask the master. Steph?
They usually serve those at the izakayas, which are, I guess, the equivalent of a pub in Japan. Which is more of a snack. They have a lot of different interesting snacks that they serve together with. If you want a little, usually when you have a beer or something like that, they're usually pretty fitting. So no, I have not. I've not tried that, unfortunately. But I have experience with going to bars in Japan, smaller bars.
What was that like? Was it? How would you compare it to a bar in the West?
Well, first off, Japanese people are very polite. There's never any. I've never experienced any fights or anything like that. People are very. They show a lot of respect in Japan. And what is great is that during the day when everyone is busy, they don't bother people in the streets. It's only in the evening when they can sit down and have a discussion and actually talk to people, and they're very open during the evening when you're at the bar. It's a great experience. That's why I went out. And when I sat down with the Japanese, after talking, they thought I was Japanese.
I see. That must have been quite an experience. What about you made them think that you were Japanese?
When the way I behave and my pronunciations of Japanese word is in their words it was perfect, like a Japanese local.
And your figure too. You can't forget your figure. You do have like the general figure of a Japanese man.
I do perform a lot of Japanese martial arts, so I'm sure they relate to me in that way.
That's a good way to stay fit for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which martial arts do you do, Seth?
Well, I have done a bunch of different ones. Karate, judo, of course, aikido, kyudo, kenjutsu, a little bit of sumo, but that didn't really work out that well. I also did some jujutsu, which is also really great. And of course, ninjutsu.
Yes, of course. Of course. What about sumo didn't work out for you? You said that you tried that, but it just didn't pan out.
It is a very important martial arts to Japan, and it requires, if you want to be a true Dekshi, you have to go in and you have to change your entire lifestyle around being a part of sumo. And at the time, I felt like, well, I could do that, but it would have to be after I moved to Japan. And also, karate and judo are more fitting for me, personally.
That's fair. Sumo it pretty much becomes a lifestyle. I mean, imagine if ball linebackers were just doing one-on-one small ring wrestling contests all day.
I understand. I understand.
It turned into like a ceremony of sorts after a while. I mean,
imagine if football players in America could learn a little bit of these martial arts, and imagine how much better they would be at football.
Honestly, that would probably be a great
imagine a quarterback that knows ninjutsu. It could revolutionize the sport.
Yeah, we should really cross that over a little bit more.
We should look back into that. That might be our first million.
I mean, the fact that nobody's crossed over the idea of like sumo wrestling as a sport with the kind of people we set up as like defensive lines and linebackers and crap like that. I'm not even a football fan, but the thought of crossing these things over is just like, well, hold on.
I'm pretty sure that they've never even had any football players go to Japan to like ever. As far as I know, there's never been an NFL player that's been to Japan.
Yeah, what a wasted opportunity. I can't believe no one's thought of this before.
Seth, what are your thoughts on teaching martial arts to Westerners?
Well, I do think it's something everyone should do. I don't know why it hasn't been implemented into the school system in some way. I think it's something that would be great for everyone to learn a little bit of martial arts at a young age.
And for self-defense, as you
self-defense, confidence, physical fitness.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I'm having trouble seeing a downside, which is funny because I know that a lot of parents in the U.S. and injuries and stuff.
Correct.
But I mean, if we said something about getting rid of football,
oh, God forbid you get
they
rid of
would
football.
absolutely lose their minds.
Seth, do you have any family or friends that are really hard into the Western culture the way that you are into Eastern culture? And has that become like a conflict in your life?
Well, no, I've never been forced to take part in any kind of Western culture things outside of Christmas, which I do not celebrate.
Well, I mean, Japan does the whole KFC thing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm a
true.
Shintoist.
Do you eat KFC for Christmas at least?
No, we don't have KFC here. Otherwise, I would have.
Fair enough.
That's sad. That's honestly
you can't
sad.
squeeze blood from a turnip, man.
Yes,
I mean,
I know.
no KFC there. What are you supposed to do?
I know. Seth, your name, 𝒂𝒊𝒋𝒊𝒏, is that your given name?
No, it is not. My name is Seth.
Okay.
I see.
I changed my name legally to Seth when I was 18 years old.
Right. What were the reactions from people around you? Did you change it to Seth or Sephiroth?
No, just Seth.
Just Seth.
Is what I changed it to.
Okay.
Because I talked to my parents at the time, and they thought it would be because for me it would be like, it's a very long name. It's a very cool name, Sephiroth. They were discussing it, and we decided on Seth. And my parents thought it was great too. So
your parents are supportive of your learning into Eastern culture?
yes, I've tried to get them into Japanese culture as well, and I don't think they're as open to it as some other people, but I've tried. My mom taught herself to make tonkatsu ramen, and she did a pretty good job at it. Last year, she did it for Christmas last year, and it was really bad. And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at your mother. That's horrible. I apologize.
Yeah, so no, it's very. I was very upset. It felt very disrespectful to Japanese culture. She didn't even try to make it good. But it's okay because she learned.
Did you voice this to her?
Yes, I did. I said to her that this was very disrespectful, and even during Christmas too, it felt very. So yes, but she it's okay. It's okay. She learned. So earlier this year, she was able to make it, and it was very close. Not as close as a Japanese person would do it though, but close enough. And it was pretty good. So
that's understandable. Have you tried to get your father into it at all? Perhaps showing him anime or anything like that?
No, he watched some anime. I've shown both my parents anime in the past. I showed them Lucky Star back in the 2000s. I showed them Naruto and a few other shows. I've showed them a lot of movies. My father really liked Akira, the movie.
That's a classic.
My father's a big fan of Death Note. We're watching Cowboy Bebop right now. You might consider my father a bit of an otaku.
Oh, that's interesting. I should show my parents Death Note, definitely.
Yeah, I think Death Note's an easy one for a lot of them to get into because the supernatural aspects are very straightforward, easy to understand, doesn't require a full explanation on the rest of Japanese culture outside of maybe a brief talk about idol culture to explain Misa.
Which I'm sure that Seth has explained to his parents already. I would imagine you've had many conversations with your parents to explain Japanese culture and the differences to them and how it's superior.
Yes, like I said earlier, when we were in Japan, we went to a maid cafe. And that was... and then I had to explain, because they didn't understand it. So I had to explain. It was an idol-themed maid cafe. So it was...
Well, please explain it for our audience, too, because I'm pretty sure that our audience isn't going to understand what... That's such a higher echelon of entertainment that I think that the layman won't understand it at all.
You mean idols or just maid culture?
Maid culture for sure, but idols I think we get a little bit from Korea. but
Yes.
Yeah, we get that from Korea and Japan.
We might
but I
wanna
feel
go
like
over
Japan
both.
started the trend.
Yes,
and
Japan was
Korea
first.
just ran with it recently.
Yes, Japan was first.
yes,
for sure.
with most things, honestly, in my experience, Japan was first with almost everything.
Yes.
Can you explain idol culture first and then maid cafes afterwards?
Okay, yes. So idol culture, well, it is very. Are any of you familiar with VTubers?
Yes, I don't watch a lot of them, but I'm familiar with a few that are out there. Never really watched Pokimane, but I'm familiar with the crowd.
They're very similar, and in fact, the VTubing started from idol culture, and it is the idea of
Oh yeah, Hatsune Miku.
Miku. Yeah, Miku is an idol. That's a good example. It isn't just. It's an entertainment icon that's used to perform events, things like singing. There are many different things. They're not just an artist who sings. They have many different things. Maybe they perform in some kind of commercials. They're part of maybe a video game, or they do all kinds of different things. And then they have events where fans of them can go up and have a handshake.
Have you done that yourself, Seth?
I have not. It is something that would be fun to do, but it's something I'll have to wait until I move to Japan.
If there were one idol that you would want to do that with, whose hand would you want to shake?
Well, right now I mostly watch a lot of VTubers, a lot of HoloLive. Unfortunately, they cannot do handshake events because it's digital. My
Oshi,
is
犬神コロネ
from
HoloLive.
Can you pronounce that again? I think that's you had your pronunciation of it was so spot on that I don't think that I was able to actually understand what it was you were saying. Your Japanese accent it's magnificent.
Arigato.
Yes, it's
犬神コロネ
Inugami Korone.
That's
yes.
I think that's the dog one.
yes,
Is that
Yes,
Yes, she's a
Okay,
dog.
that's the dog one.
yes.
That's what Inu means, I believe.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Inuyasha.
Oh, like Inuyasha. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
Inuyasha.
Yes.
I know what that is. I got this. Okay, so that's what idols are. So what is a maid cafe?
When a maid cafe, it is typically girls. There are some maid cafe or similar where there's also guys, men.
Well, that's where Eric would go.
Yes, but there's not typically just maids. There are different themes. But the idea is that the people working there and serving the customers play a role. They play a character when they walk in. So the main one is just that they're dressed in a maid outfit, and they treat the customers like they are a maid. They're serving their master.
Oh, I see. I see why that might appeal to people like you and me. I think it would be lost on Eric, but
Sounds to me like it's like if you were to take Disneyland and then condense that down to like a restaurant format, but like no Disney characters, just like cute girls in maid costumes or cute
Seth,
guys.
I think he
in
might just
maid
be way off the
costumes.
mark.
Yes,
I think
it has not-
don't bother with him.
It has nothing
Okay,
to do
am I
with
missing part of it here?
It has nothing to do with Disney. It is its own thing. It is, but it doesn't have to be maids. They could be just any type of character. There is actually a
Tsundere.
cafe where the girls treat you like trash.
Oh, so it's, you know what, Eric? I think the closest thing, and I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't going to be something that you would enjoy, but I think you're aware of it. Would be like a Hooters.
I don't know though. The girls at Hooters just ignore me most of the time. and-
Well, you ignore them too. Let's be honest. It's not a one-way street here. You're not. That's not your interests. Let's say.
I feel like you're trying to say something.
No,
like
I'm
a
not trying to say-
responsible
I'm not
married
trying to-
man,
Yeah, well,
which I am.
You're yes, I know you're married. They recently
you.
passed that into law. Did you go to the maid cafe with your parents? What did they think of the maid relationship?
Oh, they thought it was interesting. They didn't really say much about it, but they said it was interesting. And the food was really good. We had a great time.
What kind of food do they actually have at the Maid Cafe? I've never actually thought about that.
The main thing they serve is
Omurice.
which is, I guess, omurice is the best way to describe it. It is an omelette rice.
Oh, omelette rice. I've
Yeah.
never heard of such a thing.
Egg and rice.
Sure, egg and rice, but omelet and rice, that's an entirely different, like, that's taking it up a step.
Oh yeah, that's putting all the effort in.
I know,
You
I know.
Yes.
I know.
So how it works?
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that where they make it and they goes over.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm
Don't
sorry.
talk over our guest, Eric.
He knows
Don't-
what I'm talking
Don't
about.
talk over our guest.
I'm sorry.
Don't talk over your betters.
He's correct. That is
Omurice.
Okay, I think I'm getting a picture. I think I'm getting somewhat of a picture. I don't think that here in the deep south of America, which is where we're in Venezuela. I don't think that they would have anything like that.
No.
Rice, we have rice, but omelets are kind of I don't
Off
know.
on their
That's
own.
yeah. That's more of like a United States thing. They
Yeah.
definitely. I'm just saying they don't have it down here.
You got me a little bit on that. For
See,
the,
it's not something you would know anything about, anyways.
I know tortillas are still a big thing.
Yes. Steph, are you a fan of any other cultures outside of Japanese culture? Are you familiar with your own general culture where you are?
I guess it's pretty. I don't have a great. At least the last couple of years, I have not had a very good experience with my culture here. It's been fine most of the time, but they are being very unfair when it comes to practicing religion.
Oh, I see. Are you a practicing religious man? Are you a Buddhist or a Taoist?
I believe he said he was a Shintoist.
Oh, a Shintoist.
I'm a
That makes sense.
Shintoist, yes. And I wanted them. I went to the town hall here where I live, and I requested them to build a Shinto shrine so that Shintos can practice our religion in my city. And they refused. And I was so confused because they're building a bunch of other buildings for other people who come here and practice their religion.
There are other people that are coming there to practice a different religion than what's normally there. You have a lot of migrants where you are?
Yes, so and they're building stuff for them, but they can't build it for Shintoists. It's very
That's not really fair.
no. I think I thought about building my own smaller shrines and put them around so that people can leave their offerings and pray.
I feel like you could possibly get that tax deductible around here.
Yeah. Is it? Would that be? Could you just be a Shinto priest? Perhaps could you learn to be a Shinto priest and then you could start a movement?
Kind of
Yes.
like the same government process you would go through to start and open your own church, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
But just do that for Shintoism.
Yes, I could start doing
Yeah.
that.
Was that your plan, Seth?
Yes.
So outside of that, what's stopped you?
Well, it hasn't really progressed yet. I'm still waiting for their answer because I put in another request a while ago, and I'm still waiting. And if their answer is still no, then I think I'm going to have to start. I want to build a shrine in my apartment first, so that I have one that I can pray to daily. I don't have a proper shrine, and then I can start building smaller shrines I can put around the city.
How does that work? How does praying to a shrine work in Shintoism? Being from South America, we're only really knowledgeable about Catholics. Yeah.
It's you perform your prayer to 𝑬𝒅𝒖𝒄𝒂𝒕𝒆𝒔, the true God, and you can put down offerings at these little shrines. A shrine could really be anything, as long as it uses symbolism from Shinto religion. And you can put down offerings, whether it's, it could be some rice, it could be some tofu, it could be a fruit or something. You can just leave something there and then do a little prayer. And yes, that's typically how you do it.
That's not too far from Catholicism, from where we go
it's
to church.
transferable.
Yeah, it's
It all makes sense to me.
Yeah. What is the? I've seen it in anime, but I don't know what it is. There's a thing where you hang talismans from trees. What is that, Seth?
Talisman from trees. I
I see people write on a little talisman and then they hang it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there'll
yes,
be
yes.
like 3 little paper squares like hanging down on a line or something.
You do that during festival usually, but it is tied to Shinto religion, and it's a wish. You put down a wish on it, right there, but then you hang them on there.
Oh.
So it's and it could be usually it's something very. It could be a wish for a healthy new year or something like that. Typically, they typically do it around New Year.
Yeah, pretty wholesome stuff.
It is pretty wholesome.
Straightforward.
I do have to agree. That's pretty wholesome. Have you been to a Japanese festival, Seth?
I have not. There was no festivals when I was going. There was nothing. Maybe there was something up north of Japan, but I only stayed in Tokyo, so we didn't. I didn't get to experience the rest of Japan. So next time I will be traveling.
Absolutely.
They only have like 2 or 3 main like national holidays, if I'm not too mistaken. So anywhere else, you'd have to go to like some sort of village's individual festival or something like that.
Yes.
I'm not sure though. That's getting really into the weeds of individual Japanese culture things.
Yes.
Is that right, Seth?
Yeah, there's a lot of local traditions and festivals and things like that they do. And Japanese people are very they take their traditions and things seriously, or they do want to celebrate their culture.
That's different than how it is down here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's fine. Some rituals and festivals have been going on for 1,000 years or more, even that they keep doing every year. Japan is a very old country.
When did you start being what you would refer to as an otaku? What got you into this field?
Well,
And what was your first taste? Like Final Fantasy, anime, crazy book about samurai that you just was like, yes, this is it.
okay, so this is I started officially when I realized that I'm consuming Japanese media and this is what I like. That was in 2001, winter of 2001, and that's when I discovered manga for the first time. It was Naruto.
Oh, Naruto. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen it or read it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I finished the main series.
Did you? I picked up one book one time and I've never gone very deep into it. I get that the main guy's name is Naruto, but what does that have to do with like Japanese culture at large?
There's a lot of Japanese culture in Naruto, but it doesn't take place in Japan. It takes place in a fictional world. But Naruto is the best manga and anime, and so I suggest that you either read it or watch it. Either way works because it's all really great.
How do you feel against the anime versus manga deliberation? Do you think that manga is better than anime or anime is better than manga?
Well, that depends because reading manga can be it's easy to sit down and read. And you can read as much as you want. Chapters are typically not very long in manga, so you can read a few chapters and then do something else if you're busy. That's what I've been doing because I've been so busy. So I haven't had time. When you watch anime, typically you want to watch what it usually is 20 minutes, and you sit down and dedicate your time to it. But then they have things like they have the amazing voice acting, the music, the animation. There are advantages and disadvantages, I would say.
I started off watching Naruto anime, and then I got impatient, was just like, I'm skipping over to the manga so I can keep reading ahead. And that's how I finished it. I finished the Naruto manga. But then when Boruto came around, I was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I've seen some YouTube clips of like some old characters that have interesting moments, but for the most part, I'm just like, I can't get excited for it.
Really?
What do you feel about the Boruto Naruto thing? Do you think Boruto is a good continuation and it keeps moving everything forward?
Yes.
Or do you think it kind of like isn't quite as good? Would you say that the original series is better?
Well, I do think Naruto was at its highest point in the older Naruto series. But Boruto is really good. I have not caught up with the manga, but you should read the manga because the anime and manga are different. They're actually,
Oh, really?
yes, they were being made at the same time, so they're completely different. So yes, so I suggest.
I know that the anime had more filler with Naruto, but I thought, it usually hit all the same bullet points.
It's all going over my head, man. I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen more than an episode of Naruto once.
That's amazing that you haven't seen more Naruto.
It's kind of how it is with all anime for me. Like my dad's really into it, but me, I don't know. I was hoping Seth could enlighten me on like the importance of it and why I should dig my heels into. And it sounds like Naruto is a great place to start. But
yes.
What did you said you started with Naruto. Where did you start learning the Japanese language?
It was right after. So after I discovered manga, and I thought, this is amazing. This is much better than anything. At the time, I was very lonely. I was a little bit of an outcast among other people. You could say I was just studying most of the time. I didn't really have any hobbies outside of playing JRPGs once in a while. Then I was 14 at the time, by the way. So I was a teenager, and I was struggling with finding myself. But then I found myself after I discovered manga, and I knew exactly who this is what I live for, Japanese culture. So I started reading about Japanese culture and the language, and that's how it started. Now, I had consumed Japanese media before, but I didn't realize it was Japanese until a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Like I watched
Hokuto no Ken.
also known as Fist of the North Star, when I was around I guess I was 7 or 8 years old, and I was
Sailor Moon.
as well around the time, early 90s.
Man, I can only imagine watching Fist of the North Star at 7 years old. That must have blown your mind at the time.
Amazing.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Oh, it's you know what? I'll just let him keep talking for a minute because that'd be a whole tangent.
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Fist of the North Star is
Hokuto no Ken.
is a manga created by the dynamic duo
Bronson.
and
Tetsuhara.
the duo who created it. It is a martial art manga. It is a post-apocalyptic manga. And there's martial arts. The main character, Kenshiro, you probably have seen it. His catchphrase, you might have heard his catchphrase, which is,
お前はもう死んでいる.
You are already dead.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say, it doesn't really ring a bell for me. But if you say it in English, I think I pick it up.
It's a famous catchphrase for him. His martial arts are so good, he hits you at pressure points and stuff.
yes.
First off, that sounds fascinating, and I'll definitely watch it. That sounds a lot like I can only relate it to my Western culture. It sounds like Terminator or something.
Think kind of like Terminator mixed with Road Warrior, some stuff like that. Mad Max kind of stuff.
Yes, a lot of people.
I think Mad Max actually took a lot of inspiration from it.
That's people say that they compare it to Mad Max a lot, as I've heard Westerners do, but. I don't know anything about that series, so I can't comment on that. But Fist of the North Star is amazing, so I highly recommend it. And the manga is not very long either.
I see. I suppose I'll have to grab a volume. I don't know. It'll be my first manga, I think, outside of that little bit of Naruto that I've read.
Remind me again, Fist of the North Star, that's late 80s, I want to say?
Early 80s. It is,
or is it older than that? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it was before.
So it was before. It's over 40.
Yes, it is 40 years old. This year, actually, it's a 40-year anniversary.
Yeah, I knew it predated Dragon Ball.
Yes, it did. Yes. But it is very violent. So I will say that if there is something that is uncomfortable, it is very. It has a lot of uncomfortable. Violence in it, but it aids the story. So
I'm kind of surprised you were able to go through something so violent. I mean, with the type of person that you are, but that sounds like it might be right up my alley. I think I'll take a look at it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Fictional violence just doesn't hit me the same as real world violence.
Okay.
You know,
That makes sense.
that being said, as he was trying to warn you, it is pretty visceral at times. Like,
Yes.
I'm not against that. That sounds like it might be right up my alley. You know how I love just violence in general.
oh yeah, like this is the North Star puts Quentin Tarantino to shame.
Okay. Seth, do you know who Quentin Tarantino is?
I've heard the name, and I do not think I have consumed any of his media.
I thought so. I thought that might be the case.
If you were, I'd say Kill Bill would be a good place for him to start.
Yeah, I was going to say he had a
Lot of
movie
respect.
that was very famous for being Japanese inspired, or at least Asian culture inspired, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One of the main characters goes and gets a custom-made katana from a master Japanese swordsmith because she wanted the best.
Just like you, Seth. If I'm to believe what I've read, you have a masterwork katana.
I do not have it here with me, but I do have a few katana actually, but they're in storage now, right now. So I only have my boken, which is
That's fair. They're very expensive, and you want to take good care of them.
yes,
Don't talk over your betters, Eric. Remember.
Sorry. Mhm.
yes. I have.
Go on, Seth.
I do have my boken, which is a training katana. It's a wooden sword, you could say.
What is the process for getting a katana, a actual Japanese katana? What did you go through to? Because in Kill Bill, it's quite an adventure to get one.
Well, I bought them online.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably a smart way to go.
it's probably a smart way to go.
Yes.
I'd have to if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Were they expensive?
It was many years ago. I do think I paid quite a bit. At the time, I think I guess the equivalent, let's see. I think I spent the most expensive one I have, which is called the,
大幕
which is the name of the sword. That I gave it.
Oh,
that
okay.
that was around $400. It was it would be 40,000 yen. So $400.
okay. I was in my head. I was like,
I was trying to say what denomination are we using, or what?
I heard him
you know.
struggling, and my first thought was like, oh, he's more accustomed to yen, and he's trying to convert that to the United States dollar. Do you generally keep all of your money in yen, or is that just too inconvenient?
I do when I buy online. I usually have it in. I pay attention because a lot of the things I buy online is in yen. So
I didn't know that was even an option. Is it
I guess
Japanese
you just
stores?
need to go through like a conversion bank or something like that. I don't know. It's probably different country to country too.
Yeah, if I had to guess, down here in Venezuela, we're pretty cut off from the rest of the world, so we can't have anything like that. Especially since the newest political takeover, it's just not really an option. To be honest with you, Seth, I'm rather jealous of your ability to consume outside media at all. We're kind of living in a bubble down here.
oh, that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
It's kind of depressing.
It is.
Hmm.
It is, but with people like you in my life, I get to experience other cultures vicariously.
Yeah, thank God for the internet.
Thank God for the internet.
Or kami.
How do you thank God in Japanese?
Kami, right?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Japanese.
神様
Kami-sama.
Yeah, that would be kind of a standing God kind of deal.
Okay.
Like, because a sama is like an honorific towards like your betters or elders.
I didn't know you were so versed in all of this. It's kind of astounding me. We've been doing this show for over 100 episodes now. I've never heard him say anything about any of this. This is like the first time, and he's blowing my mind with it.
Well, maybe you should ask about what I do in my spare time sometimes.
No, I don't think I will.
Okay.
So I know that there is a contentious topic amongst otaku, and this is all from I did a lot of research before this episode because I wanted to know what to talk about because I'm not well versed in Japanese culture at all. So there's a contentious topic about subtitles versus replacing the language. And I think they call that dubbing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where do you stand on that issue?
Easy. Subtitles.
Why is that?
Which subtitles? You do not interfere with the media at all. You don't remove anything. You're just adding a way for you to understand the media. Dubbing it is removing all the hard work that the Japanese put into it to replace it with worse voice acting, which is disrespectful and I would say racist.
Yeah.
A little bit.
To replace it with your own, when there is other ways for you to be able to understand it with subtitles, it's yes, no, I do not.
Just replacing it with a white man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they're always doing. I know there's one I know specifically out of all of this, and that's the when I was a child, they replaced in Pokemon they called it donuts.
Oh yes, it was the rice ball, and
I don't know what it was. I don't
They
really.
said it was a jelly donut,
Onigiri?
Maybe
something like that. Yes.
I thought Oni was like demon or something.
it is.
Yeah. No, they had some like the rice balls that are wrapped with the little like leaf on the outside and little like triangular square, not
Yes.
triangular.
What does that have to do with demons?
Well, it doesn't. And it didn't have anything to do with donuts either.
I don't know
Those
if I
are not
believe you.
donuts.
Seth, does it have anything to do with demons?
No, it doesn't. It just uses the
Kanji.
for diba, which is
Oni.
uh,
Onigiri.
that's what they're called, the rice balls. It's rice, and it usually has some filling in it.
Filling.
Yes, like
Who puts stuff inside of rice? That's disgusting.
No, it's
Oh,
great.
Put like meat or something.
It's
in there.
amazing. Yes, it is tuna or chicken sometimes, and then there's
Oh yeah,
sesame
absolutely.
and stuff. It's really good.
You had this when you went to Japan. It's good.
Yes, it's soup. It's really common. You can find it at any convenience store. It is really good.
Sounds disgusting.
No, it's not.
I don't even
It's
understand
not.
palate, sir.
It's great.
It only thing from my perspective that I can even relate that to is sushi. I think, and I personally I just hate sushi. I can't eat it at all.
Well, that's not very respectful.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you. I promise. I think it's probably more that where I am, sushi's an art, right? I think you would agree. So there's no artist here who can produce adequate sushi.
Not only are there no artists here that can produce the sushi correctly, they don't have the right paint. They need the proper Japanese fish and stuff to do it right.
Steph, is that right?
You might have only eaten bad sushi made by Westerners. That probably makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a Japanese person who did it. That's
A Japanese man, if I recall, too. There's something about women and sushi.
Yeah, I don't know about women
I'm not
sushi
sure.
chefs.
I don't know. There's something about women and being sushi and their hands or something. I don't know.
Japanese women
hands
do
are-
have very small hands.
Yeah, women do generally have really small hands. How small are your hands, Eric? Show me your hands.
Like
Our hands
a
are about the same
millimeter
size. Steph,
bigger
I
than
only
yours,
wish that you
maybe.
could be here so we could put our hands together so I could compare mine to yours. Yours are probably proper sword technique hands. Mine are dainty
Yes.
little piano fingers.
well, I have pretty normal. Mine are probably bigger. Mine are slightly bigger than average.
You'd probably train through martial arts over the years. I'd imagine I haven't seen you, in quite some time, but I imagine you're a rather toned. I think is the only word I could describe.
Well, when
Oh yeah, swinging that sword around, man, it'll get you.
when you do martial arts for what would be over 25 years, I started when I was 12, so I've been going for a while. You do stay in shape, and I make sure that I train martial arts multiple times a week, every morning, or every other morning.
Do you do your creative stuff on the internet as a profession, or do you have like another job that you have to work outside of that?
Yes, I do have I am a forklift driver, and that's what I work part time, and then I do YouTube on the side.
I thought he was gonna say translator,
martial arts instructor.
Martial arts
Why aren't you? You
instructor.
could do all of these things, Seth. Why drive a forklift? You've got so many other talents.
I was gonna say vigilante, and then I realized that inherently isn't something you can get paid for.
I believe that there's a different word for that in Japanese culture. It's common or something.
Common writer.
So I don't know really. I just know it's like a.
I think you're mistaking a vigilante with the word for vigilante.
Oh, I'm sorry, Seth. I don't mean to be rude.
No, it's to answer your question, there are a lot of other things I can do. Unfortunately, martial art is not an option because I was banned from a lot of martial arts here in Sweden when I was a teenager.
Why is that?
Because I don't like Westerners treat martial. Okay, so Japanese martial arts, the way Westerners treat it is some kind of they don't treat it like a lifestyle, because that's what martial arts is. They treat it as a glorified daycare for small children to be at, and it's very disrespectful, and they have so many rules. So I walked into a dojo, a karate dojo, when I was around 15, 16. I think I was 16. And I sparred against one of them there. And I used, I do think, because we were doing
Kumite,
which is in karate, that is training. You're not supposed to punch them in the throat or poke them in the eyes and attack their groin or chin or anything like that. There are specific rules, and I did break those rules because I didn't understand.
So what you're basically saying is you were too good at it.
And that's why I got banned.
Basically, they couldn't handle your level of skill.
Well, yes, I was. Well, yes, I did. They had to throw me out, and when that happened, I guess they contacted the Swedish association, karate association, and they banned me.
Damn.
And the same happened to judo as well. They just completely don't let me participate in Japanese martial arts. I completely banned.
In the Americas, in the America continent, I know that you have to register your hands as a lethal weapon. Or did you have to go through some process like that before you could, before they could officially ban you?
No, there was nothing like that. They refused to let me join. So I haven't actually done any tournaments or anything in martial arts because they won't allow it. No, they just let me go. But I was young and I didn't understand that during Kumite, that's not a real fight. So I did break the spiritual and the rules of karate during that. So it was partially my own fault there. But I do think that they're treating martial arts like some kind of just some playground in the West. That's why I want to do it when I move to Japan. I want to be able to take it seriously. And
do you have to do all of your martial arts in your backyard now or something?
Yes, I have outside. I do it when I do it 3 times a week, around 3 times, and I go out to the forest that's near me, and that's where I usually do my training.
That's legit.
I've seen, I think, through Kill Bill and Quentin Tarantino films. It's mostly that's how much I get into Japanese media or just Oriental culture at all. But is it the cutting of bamboo trees? Is that a part of your training? That's the only part that's the only thing I know anything about, really.
Well, there isn't really much to cut here, unfortunately. That would be something I would do if there was
bamboo
growing, but there's nothing like that. So I usually just use my bokken. I would against trees and stuff.
Okay. Do you have somebody else that you can practice with, or is there no martial artist who can even keep up with you?
Well, the only one who have been there's probably a lot of other Japanese people, but the one I learned from my sensei is Masaki Hatsumi sensei, who's the Grand Master of Ninjutsu and the founder of the Bujikan organization. Yes, exactly. Yes, he's He's the master of ninjutsu, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, he doesn't practice as much anymore, but he is very strong.
Yes, he's a older guy. I think he retired just recently.
He
but
lives in Sweden, or
he was the
like, flies over
34th
there?
Grandmaster of the Togakure Ryu Ninjutsu.
I don't know. That's
I-
all gobbledygook to me. But like, does he like live in Sweden? Is he like
No.
close enough, or is he
As
implying he
far as
flies
I
over
know,
there?
he still chills in Japan, but he can get around as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I remember Stephen K. Hayes wrote a book about him.
Yes, he's amazing, and that's what I learned most of my martial arts from ninjutsu from his videos and demonstrations.
Oh, okay.
And he's one of the few people that I've seen, but there's many more Japanese people, but he's one that I still haven't reached his level yet. I
So
would say.
you're only really on sparring level with him. So there's no one local that you can actually practice with. That must be not only lonely, but just soul crushing in general.
That's why I want to move to Japan, so I can. That's where my future lies. When I move there, then I can continue the next chapter of my life. Currently, I am working on becoming a content creator full time, so that I can do that. Save up money so that I can move to Japan, and I will still continue even when I'm doing martial arts and working at Square Enix. I will still be doing YouTube videos.
I was going to ask, I didn't know what it was that when you went to Japan that you wanted to do for a living, but working at Square Enix probably does make the most sense. I thought maybe you might be a martial arts instructor or just a general translator for, I think you have a word for Westerners over there. It's guy something. But Square Enix, I think, is probably the best fit for you.
Gaijin.
Yes.
Gaijin. Yeah. Okay, that's what it was. So, do you have any contacts at Square Enix at the moment?
They have been in contact with me, but not any. I don't have a personal. I haven't talked to anyone personally. I can't go into details because there's legally I can't talk about it. But
Fair. That's fair.
I've been in contact with Square Enix.
Good. Well, we're getting to the end of our show, Seth. First off, I want to thank you for coming on the show at all. You've been a great asset to this episode. To be honest,
Very educational.
Yeah, I don't think that me and Eric could have held a show by ourselves. And since we have one of our co-hosts that's dropped out, he's got the flu at the moment. You came in at like the last second, and honestly, you saved us.
Oh yeah, it was a great honor to sit here and speak with you, and to learn a little bit more about the Japanese culture in a way that even a bunch of dumb Westerners can understand. To be honest, keep fighting the good fight, man. You're doing great work out there, and yeah.
Do you have any? I have one last question for you, but do you have any closing remarks, Seth?
Well, I would like to say
Arigato.
for having me on, and it was great to talk about Japanese culture and spread awareness of the greatness of Nihon.
Oh, wonderful Nippon.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
Watch more of his content. He'll get you caught up, man.
I've watched everything, but you know me, I have that memory disorder. I can't really hold.
Try it again.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Go to sleep with it on in the background.
Where can people find you on the internet, Seth?
Well, first off is my YouTube channel, which is 𝑬𝒅𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕, and I am also on X, formerly known as Twitter, where I'm 𝑬𝒅𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕_. I am also on TikTok with 𝑬𝒅𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕57. I am also on Instagram with 𝑬𝒅𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕57. I am on Twitch, which is 𝑬𝒅𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕57.
You're all over the place. I'll follow you on all of those. Just give me 24 hours, and you'll have a brand new follower on every single one of those.
Arigato.
I do have a final question for you, which I think is probably the best question to ask to any guest that comes on the show, and that is, Seth, where do you stand on the Israel and Palestine conflict?
I don't really know much about those countries. I don't really know.
So you're like, are you a two-state solution kind of guy, or are you one state solution man.
I don't really know what that means. But what is there anything specific that I don't really know about those countries or places. So I don't. If it was about Japan, I would be able to.
I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's
I
not a
wouldn't
big
worry
deal.
about it. It's not really that important. I think Eric and I can both agree it's not very important really at all.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to come up too much.
No, it's probably it'll basically be over by the time this episode comes out.
Yep.
Well, I hope that you live your dreams, Seth. I hope you make it to Japan. And if there's anything that either Eric or I can do to help you get there, you let us know, buddy. I'll wire you every dollar in my bank account if that's what need be.
Yep. We need to send this man on his path.
Yep.
ありがとうございました
I don't know what that is, but
You're very welcome.
I thought it was like a food or something.
No.
Well, this has been the AnythingCast. Thank you guys for listening. My name's Patrick.
And I'm Eric.
And our guest, Seth, thank you so much for coming on the show, Seth.
ありがとう
Is there like a Japanese goodbye? Do they have a word for that?
Sayonara.
Is that right, Seth? That doesn't sound right.
またねー
Okay, see, he's got it. He knows what it is.
Much like English, you can do it more than one way.